Hello, guys, this is another Beatles fan, and here we are with my first impressions of this great album, George Harrison's Living in the Material World, the 50th anniversary edition, that contains new remixes and some demos. And I gotta be honest, this one isn't it. This isn't the new version, this is my American first pressing. I got it when I visited New York in July this year, July 2024, but they just came out with a new version again with remixes, with demos, and I was able to listen to it a couple of times front to back. So I wanted to give you guys my 2 cents on it, and I think it's a great starting point to mention that I don't feel like Living in the Material World it's is an excellent album, and that's weird to say. I love it, and especially I love the individual songs. But to me, what differs an album, a great album, from an excellent or an incredible album, is its ability to mix songs that individually maybe they're not that compelling or they're maybe not that mind blowing, but when you mix them up in a magical way, it just clicks and it elevates the level of your listening experience. There's tons of examples, even in the Beatles. I think Sgt. Pepper, for one, um, the songs by themselves don't feel as strong as the Abbey Road ones, the ones on Abbey Road. But when you combine Sgt. Pepper as an experience, it gets to the Abbey Road level, even though maybe the songs individually aren't that strong. And this is completely subjective, it's my opinion, but I feel like, of course, Living in the Material World had some incredibly huge shoes to fill, considering it's the next album to All Things Must Pass. So, George had a bit of, again, some shoes to fill. He had a new challenge. He could prove himself as, at the time, maybe the greatest songwriting Beatle if he pulled off something like All Things Must Pass Volume 2. But he didn't do that, and I don't feel like he was even trying to do that. That's just my opinion on the album in itself. But again, I love the individual songs, so I was super excited to listen to the demos and also to see what Danny Harrison really thought about the mixes, because, and that's another really strange thing about the album, because if you'd asked me before I got the final version, when I was in New York, I definitely tell you that my take on Living in the Material World was that I felt like it needed a remix because the songs sound muddy, the vocals sound like they're hidden on the instrumental track. So I really thought that it needed a remix. But listening to it, especially this original pressing with fresh ears, made me realize that there's something here that doesn't necessarily need a remix. It doesn't feel that modern anymore, but yeah, it's a 50-year-old album. Not all of them are gonna sound as contemporary as Abbey Road still does. But I do feel like Danny's played it really safe with the new remixes, and he did two things that I think are super common in the Lennon camp. When Sean Lennon remixes his dad's work, I feel like he always tries to clear the instruments, make them feel more like they have more space to breathe, basically. And especially the vocals. I've heard Sean Lennon talk about that clearing the vocals, bringing them up front in a mix. It's one of Sean's objectives, and I really felt like this was the main takeaway in here with George's Living in the Material World remix. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling a bit, I'm a bit tired, gotta be honest. But that's my basic takeaway of the remixes. There's nothing more I can tell you about it. There are some remixes where I can just talk about it in here for 30 minutes or so, but this feels, again, it's playing it safe. It doesn't alter the vibes of the songs in any kind, to me at least, but you do have a clearer sense of the instruments and especially of George's vocals. And George's vocals on this one are great. Maybe it's his best vocal album, his best album vocally. That's what I mean. I think it's better than All Things Must Pass in that regard. So it's really cool to be able to listen to those incredible vocals, being brought up front, even if, especially considering actually that they don't distract you from the song as a whole in itself, right? So I think it's a great balance here. There's nothing more I can say about it. And about the demos, I actually really liked it because it isn't bloated. They basically did another album with the same songs in the same order. It's the same run of songs, but with different takes. And maybe it's only George on guitar, or maybe it's a different take of the whole band. And it's fun. That's the main word for it. This whole edition feels like it was made for us to have fun. And I really did have fun listening to the demos because, and most of them are actually pretty similar to the final version, but of course you get a different experience. And every single demo made the original song feel more human, made it feel more natural. And that's something I really love about demos in general. You feel like you're in the studio with the guys, and when you listen to the final album, you can appreciate even more what came into the production and what they did with that. And George was a great producer. I really liked his production. And also, before I wrap this up, I can't forget to mention his slide guitar. Of course, I'm a huge fan of his slide work, but on this one, it feels and it sounds like maybe he's the most confident he's ever been, even more confident than on All Things Must Pass. And it's got more solos. The tone on his slide is great, and the remixes, do it justice. So, as you can see, it's mostly positive things. I don't feel like they've bloated it. I feel like they've kept a good length of, 2 LPs for the deluxe edition, because it's that kind of album. It's not All Things Must Pass, and that's fine. And yeah, I guess that's it, guys. But before I wrap up, again, I have maybe the most important thing to say about this one is that how cool is it that 50 years after this album came out, we have the chance to listen to it again with fresh ears. And there's now buzz on the internet about Living in the Material World, especially on, the Beatles bubble. And that is super fun. And I've read a ton of people online saying that it made them appreciate the album even more. And that's also my case. I started appreciating Living in the Material World when I bought this record in New York, because it felt special to me, and that's something important, right? It's an album that gets a bit overlooked. Again, I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it flows as well as an excellent album would, but I do feel like the songs are super worthwhile to listen to, and they're a great addition to anyone's catalog. Of course, it's freaking George Harrison. It's got "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth." It's got "Living in the Material World." It's got "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long." I love it. It's got "Who Can See It." That Is All. Some great ballads in here. So, thank you, Danny. Thank you, Sam Alco, for doing this and keeping George's legacy alive. And maybe most importantly, giving us something to talk about. Of course, there's money involved. They're not doing this only, um, you know, for the great, because their shows are so great and they just love the fans. Of course, there's money involved, but it's it's exciting to talk about this album again, and it's great to see that tons of people are rediscovering it. So, what do you guys think about the remixes, the demos? Please let me know down here, and also tell me what's your favorite song on Living in the Material World. Alright, guys, that's it for tonight. I'll see you later. Thank you so much.